Hi, I'm Mike Gibson and you're watching Capital Ideas Life. In the second program of our series, we continue the story of life in Moscow during the coronavirus epidemic in the spring of 2020. In today's episode, how Moscow museums and theatres have adapted to the lack of visitors during the lockdown. How Moscow restaurant owners are helping doctors combat coronavirus. Sports and Argentine tango lessons online, new ways of staying fit during the pandemic. Despite all the restrictions due to the pandemic, Moscow's cultural life does not stop. Almost all theatres, museums and concert venues in the Russian capital have switched to an online format during the spring. There is now so much digital content that quarantine is not long enough to watch it all. The main website featuring culture-related content in Moscow is Culture RF. It offers thousands of theatre performances, concerts, lectures, documentaries and feature films. Many of them are translated into foreign languages. It would take you at least 250 days to watch all of these, even if you are watching 24/7 without breaks for eating or sleeping. One of the most popular sections of the portal is the page for the Pushkin State Museum of Fine Arts. This world-renowned museum complex closed for visitors due to the pandemic on the 17th of March, but it continues working online.
We launched online excursions during the same week, when we closed for the lockdown. Surprisingly, this format turned out to be in high demand. It's very difficult to sign in for these excursions. Registration stops within the first several minutes after its announcement.
However, the Pushkin Museum has gone further than online tours. With the exhibition halls and museums being closed for the lockdown, the employees of the Pushkin State Museum of Fine Arts have got additional time for talking to visitors. In early April, the museum launched a series of online meetings with its employees called Ask the Custodian.
You can join these meetings on Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. via Zoom or on social media. An employee, not necessarily a custodian, who is responsible for a certain part of the collection, will tell you about their scientific and professional projects and answer your questions.
In the spring of 2020, you could take virtual tours across several exhibitions on the website of the world-renowned Moscow Museum. One of them, From Dürer to Matisse Selected Drawings from the collection of the Pushkin Museum, displays the best samples of European graphic artworks of the past 5 centuries. Almost all virtual exhibitions, lectures and other materials available on the museum's website are translated into several languages. These days, all the museums in Moscow are closed and work only online. We were lucky enough to be able to film the working of the Victory Museum in these unusual times. We will show you how they prepare online excursions, which you can then watch on the internet. And we'll also take the opportunity to have a little look at the rest of the museum. The Moscow Victory Museum of Poklona Hill is one of the best-known exhibition complexes in Russia dedicated to the history of World War II. Like all other cultural institutions, in the spring of 2020, the museum closed to visitors. However, its employees managed to quickly adapt to the new environment. They started recording video versions of their tours and posting them on the museum's website.
Depending on the duration of the video, the recording process can take slightly more than 1 hour, and the videos usually last for 10 to 15 minutes.
Since the introduction of the lockdown, 100,000 users have visited online tours. The museum's YouTube channel offers more than 20 video reels where employees talk about specific exhibits, as well as the exhibition more generally. The most popular among visitors is the virtual trip to the 3D panorama called Battle for Berlin, the Feat of Banner Bearers. Since the beginning of May, it has been visited by more than 12,000 people.
All relics, the way they looked in May and April of 1945, have been transferred here, to our panorama. And people will keep coming here after the pandemic is over. They will be able to see this.
Another project of the museum, which you can not only watch online but can also take part in, is called Victory in Faces. It is an archive of personal pictures and stories of war participants brought together on one big media screen. The creators call it the National Historical Depository. It includes almost 150 million unique pictures and stories.
Its purpose is to gather and keep all stories, all family legends, the pictures of the people who have gone through that challenging and difficult war.
You can leave your application for the participation in the project on the site litsapobieda.rf. To do that, you need to have a picture of a person or its digital copy, their date of birth, and information about where they fought or worked. Victory in Faces is an international project. Consequently, you can send your application in English too. Anyone can take part in this project. For example, I have just entered the details of my father, who was a young officer during the war. Now we're going to go and have a look at the results. The National Historical Depository, Victory in Faces, which can keep millions of pictures and text files, is expected to become the major digital bank of data, pictures and personal stories of the people who fought in the Great Patriotic War. Moscow theatres have also completely refocused on the internet. In the spring of 2020, the phrase "go to the theatre" acquired a very different meaning. To see your favourite actors on stage, just sit back and switch on your computer. Online performances and other Moscow theatre productions during the pandemic will be our next story. The homepage of the website of the Moscow Pyotr Fomenko Workshop Theatre features a large font announcement saying performances are temporarily suspended. 64 employees of the theatre have been working online. In the early days of the lockdown, the actors, while staying home, launched their first online project.
We've invented a section called Extracurricular Reading on our great website and on our social media. It is a very useful section. Each actor of our theatre can make their dream come true on the small screen of a PC. There's something special present here, some energy in these houses and people. You can't come across these names: Anifia, Uliana, Yevlampi, Zasima. Oh, a young lady. She's talking to Voronichin. He's explaining something to her.
As part of the extracurricular reading project, the actors read texts by their favourite authors. For foreign viewers, performances with translated subtitles are available. On the other hand, the Fomenko Workshop Theatre has been making its performances with simultaneous translations into several languages for many years.
We do have non-Russian speaking viewers. All they have to do is let us know in advance, and they will get tablets. They watch the stage, and at the same time, they watch the tablet for translation.
In addition to extracurricular readings, the theatre has produced a special online theatre performance called Choose 3. It's a short play by Dmitry Danilov, staged by EVGENY KAMENKOVICH, artistic director of the theatre, with 5 actors playing in Zoom. Moscow theatres began a gradual transition to the digital space several years ago. In the spring of 2020, you could visit virtually any Moscow theatre via an app on your smartphone. One such service is online theatre. When Sergei Lavrov was launching this project, he couldn't imagine how popular his platform would become during the lockdown.
The concept of the project is very simple: to give everybody who can't go to the theatre, and also those who may never be able to go, the opportunity to become part of live art and live theatre, and to get an impression and become part of what is happening on stage here and now.
Before the outbreak of the coronavirus epidemic, the online theatre site broadcast live performances. In the spring of 2020, when all theatres were closed, they began to broadcast recorded performances. You could watch them on a free-of-charge basis.
The load on our servers and communication channels has grown. This is because free-of-charge content attracts not only the target audience, as they call it today, but also curious and inquisitive people. And today, there are thousands of them.
During self-isolation, Muscovites not only stocked up on medical masks and antiviral drugs, but also useful knowledge. Quarantine is the perfect time to read. However, in the spring of 2020, all bookshops in the city were closed. There'll be more about how Muscovites read books during the pandemic later in this programme.
I've got a few books going at the same time now. The main book that I'm reading now is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There's a film about that, which is quite an old film. And there's June, which there's a film coming out soon. It's a science fiction book. And then there's another science fiction book called The Scanner Darkly.
Already in the first week of the lockdown, the major online libraries posted lists of literature recommended for reading during the epidemic.
Chapter 1: Cognitive Revolution.
For example, Storytel Audio Library offers a whole section titled Coronavirus, the Opinion of Doctors and Scientists.
At first, people were looking for viruses, epidemics, and plagues, the situations related to risks that are currently concerning everybody. But very soon, people, from our perspective, got tired of this topic. And then we saw novels get to the top of the lists. Fiction literature.
Of the 70,000 books offered by Storytel, about 50,000 are in English. Thus, English-speaking residents in Moscow didn't have problems with the choice of audiobooks either.
We have books read by Benedict Cumberbatch, Meryl Streep, Sean Penn, and Stephen Fry.
While in Moscow, you can make a trip all around the world without even buying a plane ticket. I mean, of course, a gastronomic trip. In the capital of Russia, there are many restaurants from all over the world: Indian and French, Chinese, Mexican, and many others. This restaurant, Simple Things, is one of my favorites. It has tasty Russian and Caucasian cuisine, as well as a fabulous and well-priced selection of wine. Unfortunately, I can't meet my friends here at the moment. The restaurant is closed for the duration of the quarantine, but meals can be ordered at home. Many restaurants in Moscow still have this option for their customers. Almost 15,000 restaurants, bars, cafes and taverns in Moscow closed this spring. In order to remain in the market, most of them launched their own delivery services. In Moscow, these are more than half of all restaurants, almost 66%. La Corte di Milano, an Italian cafe, also launched its distance services for customers. The orders were not bought by waiters, but delivered by couriers, and prices for all meals on the menu were reduced by 30%. Courier delivery, discounts, this is how the restaurant has transformed its business model to adapt to the pandemic environment.
In fact, we plan to give our regular customers an additional discount by ordering wine from our suppliers at a special price. Secondly, we will partially transform our business into a shop. That is, part of our meals will be homemade, for example, pasta or risotto. Customers will be able to buy them and also wine. This is how we're going to operate.
The number of items on the menu of the restaurant has been significantly cut. Only the meals, which can be cooked in a short time, are left. It is also important that the food doesn't lose its marketable look during the delivery. The restaurant's brand chef believes that by itself, cooking meals for delivery will not be a viable alternative for the kitchen. There are no plans to close the establishment yet, however, because it is supported both by regular and new customers.
People also order pizza, pasta, soups, and salads. Within 10 minutes, all meals are ready. That is, we don't have pre-cooked food, only hot-off-the-press, freshly cooked dishes. And delivery too, which unfortunately doesn't depend on us. But I think our customer will get the order within 20 or 25 minutes.
In April and May, La Corte di Milano not only delivered meals to its regular customers, the owners of the restaurants decided to support doctors who treat patients with coronavirus. Especially for them, they began cooking and delivering hot dinners. The evening meal included salads, pizza, ravioli, and other Italian dishes. They have done their best to make the menu diverse and avoid repeating the meals. Of course, the restaurant covers all expenses.
We change items on the menu every day. We don't have routine meals on a specific day of the week. First and foremost, we are an Italian cafe. Consequently, one day is dedicated to Roman pizza, another to pasta. One day we mix part of the salad, part of the pizza, and place them in a box. Also, we started adding small desserts, tiramisu or a cake.
Today, our menu for the doctors includes salad, pasta with mushrooms, and baked apples. 35 portions are cooked and packed in an hour.
Being a chef, it warms my heart. But my cooks also come here feeling happy when they know that they will cook for the doctors and that the doctors like their meals. They've got their feedback.
The order goes to the hospital every day at 4:30 p.m. The streets in the city are empty, and half an hour later, hot meals are already on the table of the hospital. In April, dozens of Moscow restaurants decided to support the doctors in this way. More than 2,000 doctors and nurses started getting free meals cooked by the best Moscow chefs.
You know, the meals they cook are delicious. We only have to warm them up. They deliver the meals from across different parts of Moscow. I think we've tried everything there is. I like the Italian cuisine. The menu is great, and it's diverse, so we're not tired of the same food at all.
Yegor Larin is an anesthesiologist and emergency physician by training, but over the past several years, he's been involved in the development of palliative care. With the outbreak of the coronavirus in the city, Yegor contacted the management of the municipal hospital, number 40, located in the Komunarka settlement.
Our hours are irregular. Now we work every day. I do regular inspections together with the manager of the department, and I also monitor several intensive care units. We've had a man who recovered. I believe he's an American. He was admitted here during the first wave. He's fine now. We even contacted his insurance company and talked to them. And this is why he was calm. We have many people who speak English, so there was no language barrier whatsoever.
Every day, up to 100 patients suspected of being infected by coronavirus are admitted to this hospital. The main symptoms include high temperatures, breathing problems, loss of taste and smell, although sometimes the disease has no symptoms. Like many other respiratory diseases, COVID-19 spreads through the respiratory droplets in the air and via person-to-person contact.
Disease prevention is always easier and cheaper than treatment. Consequently, lockdown and personal protection items are vitally important.
Doctors and experts at the World Health Organization confirm social distancing and the lockdown are the most effective measures for combating the spread of the infection. Judging by the empty streets in Moscow, most residents of the capital are following these recommendations and staying home. Our next story is about how foreigners living in Moscow switched to the stay-home mode of working. Among many foreigners living in Moscow during the lockdown, there are people with various professions. Some work as before, others don't work at all, and others switch to the stay-home mode of working. This is not only true for office employees, for whom the key thing is to have a PC available. One of the most unusual stay-home professions is a dance teacher. Its representative is FAKUNDO GALLO from Argentina. He is a champion of Japan in stage tango. During the lockdown, without leaving home, he taught everybody who was willing to learn how to tango. Good to meet you, FAKUNDO. I'm Mike.
Mike, nice to meet you.
When did you decide to come to Russia?
That decision was 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
In that moment, I was living in Italy, working in Italy. And I feel very curious about here, of Moscow. I hear several times that the level of tango here is amazing. It was a pretty nice tango festival in the Hilton Hotel. So I come to see by myself how is the tango world here, how is the level. And I have to say that it's amazing level.
Now we're all at home, we're all in isolation. How do you teach tango now?
Now in this situation, I am teaching by Zoom, the application. I have to say that at the beginning, the moment of adaptation was a little complicated, just at the beginning, because I was pretty used to teach by contact, like touching the person, like, okay, release the shoulder or go up with your head. You can say to the student, I don't know, go up with your head. So at the beginning was challenge.
How do you do that through this medium online? How do you physically teach people the movements?
For example, yesterday was a lesson about the turnings and how to dissociate the arm from the body to make turns.
Right.
And was the case of a student that when she turned, she couldn't at the moment dissociate the arm from the body.
Right.
So we asked to put her in the side of the wall to make the turn without touch the wall. So in that way, it was not possible to turn with the arm, just turning. So we are using a lot the imagination and how to work with the elements that we can find in the house. If you give me the honor of make a lesson with me, it will be amazing.
I'd love to have a lesson. That would be really cool. Excellent. It'd be very exciting.
Cool.
Okay, so I need to get ready. I need to find my wife, and then we can start. Great.
Yes, I go to find my tango partner.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to go to my partner as well. Right. Okay. So I'm going to move this like that. Great. Wow.
Okay, let's start. So
we go into the position like this. Yeah.
We catch the hand of the lady.
And then your hand. And then.
Yes, exactly. Try.
Each lesson lasts for 1 hour. Usually newcomers start with learning the principles of interaction in tango, the correct posture and simple combinations. Thus, already in an hour they can learn the first movements and begin dancing. As long as I can remember, I've always been athletic. At school, I was a swimmer and held the school record for breaststroke. I was in the rowing team at my Oxford College. I continue to practice this sport in Moscow. I also run in the morning, sometimes visit the gym, but now because of the epidemic, I train at home. In our next story, we will talk about how Muscovites learn to play sports over the internet. The fitness industry in all countries has become one of the hardest hit due to the coronavirus. More than 2,000 fitness clubs in Moscow closed down before the introduction of the lockdown. All sports studios in the capital froze the gym memberships of their clients and began learning the online format of the training sessions.
You can join our online training sessions by buying 24-hour access to our platform via your personal account on our website. Secondly, you will get access to Zoom training sessions during the day. Today, there are 2 of them, functional and stretching. We left cycling in the public domain because it's impossible to train without a bike. So those who have rented a bike and have the opportunity to train for free, join our sessions. Or those who have a bike but were previously clients of another club or rented the bike in another studio can join us too.
By combining online training sessions and the renting of sports equipment, the studios will be able to reopen their businesses after the lockdown with minimum losses, while the clients have the opportunity to stay fit. Since the beginning of online training sessions, many sports clubs in Moscow have noticed a 2-fold increase in the number of visitors.
People in other cities join our live sessions. Consequently, the number of people participating in our sessions has gone up, strange as it might seem. Today, people living in Chile and in America watch our live lessons. At first, it was quite difficult because we were not used to having no people around us, and you just didn't feel the vibe, especially if it was a cycle class. In cycle classes, it's about the synergy between the coach and the group, the energy of the people who come to these training sessions. When you're cycling online and see nobody, you simply find the energy within yourself and remember what you were doing it for.
Dozens of fitness clubs in Moscow have switched to the online training format via Zoom. Most sessions are free and are in the public domain. Several dozens of people, on average, visit the training sessions of small studios. As to the major ones, the number of participants reaches several thousand. We can say that despite the quarantine in the spring of 2020, Muscovites have managed reasonably well to stay fit and to get ready for the summer. The virus has radically changed our lives and the life of the city. But despite this, Moscow continues to live an active business and cultural life. My name is Mike Gibson, and this is the program Capital Ideas Life. Stay healthy, stay safe. See you in a week.